Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back for another video. In today's video, we will be doing an Olaf Assassin guide. I know it's a pretty cringe comp, but it is very strong in the current meta, and I'm sure it'll be strong in a bunch of different patches. And if you don't know how to play this build, you are definitely gating yourself, because this build is, when you hit the build, it is a pretty guaranteed top 4. And if you actually know how to play the build and you're not really being contested and you actually hit, it is the easiest first you'll hit in your life. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. All right, now, before we get into the depths of doing this, is just what your early game board could look like. Don't pay too much attention to the board yet. But I do want to say this is one of the easiest builds to play. And as I said in the intro, yeah, if you don't know how to play this, you really need to learn how to play it. It's strong right now, and it is certainly going to be strong later. But when do you play this comp? So this comp is not something you can just like hard force every single game. You just want to play this when you either get a Sin emblem, like you get offered a Sin emblem from your first augment or something, or you get an early stage 2 or a stage 2 or an early stage 3 Olaf. You can just force from those situations, because Olaf 2 is very strong. So if you get either of those scenarios, you can force, even if contested, and you can get a decent placement most of the time. But you can't just like hard force this comp every single game. It doesn't really work like that, because you do require an emblem. Okay, so item start. What are we going to start? You're going to start sword, bow, glove, and cloak. That's going to be our priority order. Now, this comp actually uses more gloves than anything. But as I said, we're not hard forcing this comp when you play this. And glove is just not... I don't like glove as a starting item. I think bow and sword are much more easier to play around, because you can flex to other AD comps a lot easier than just taking glove if you want to like specialize in playing AD. That's why I do that priority, but technically you do need more gloves than anything else. The reason why cloak is in here as our only defensive one is because Runan's Hurricane is a good item on Olaf, as well as Bloodthirster is a decent item on Olaf. So if you end up needing to build one of those, you can build one of those with your cloak. So it's not too bad to have too many cloaks. Okay, so what is the game plan we're playing off? The game plan is to econ and stack Olaf in the early games. We do want to play for econ. We do want to play for stack, and I'll explain that more in just a second. So that is our early game plan. This is just kind of like a TLDR. And then we want to win out on stage 4 and early stage 5 for an easy top 4. And first place, we have first place potential if we do win that stage 4 and win early parts of stage 5. If we either hit an Olaf and Diana 3, or we end up getting to 9 and start fitting in some legendaries like Pike, Yasuo, that sort of thing. Just some very good units. So that is the win condition. That is the game plan. So let's talk about our stage 2. That's what the purpose of this board is right here. So stage 2, we want to play for econ. Our main goal of this game, as we just said before, is we want to spike hard in the mid game. And really the game plan is we want to win almost every single round in the mid game. And I know that sounds like kind of like strict win conditions, but it is not very hard to... or it is pretty easy to win most of the rounds. If you actually hit the Olaf board, it is very, very, very strong stage 4 and early parts of stage 5. So we do want to econ up so that we can hit that board, because hitting that board is our win condition or our top 4 condition. And we want to let our Olaf die. We need to make sure that he gets as much stacks as he can, because again, we don't want to lose any of those rounds in the mid game. Any benefit that we can stack on him, any investment that we can do in the Olaf in the early game is going to pay dividends in the mid game. So this is why you'll see this type of positioning a lot of times. Whenever you see an Olaf player in the lobby, they'll just frontline their Olaf and they'll backline the rest of their dudes. This is the easiest board to play right here, is 4 Bruiser, 2 Warrior, because we'll be trying to play around 4 Bruiser most of the game. So this is my ideal setup in the early game. But again, just play around Warriors, play around whatever. You do want to make the strongest board you can. You are still going to be losing and lose streaking, econing up, even if you build the strongest board you can most of the time, because you are sacking your carry. I mean, you're literally putting your carry up here to die. So you're going to be weaker than most of the people in the lobby. That's why we are going to prioritize econ as much as we can. But yeah, just make the strongest board you can. We still want to kill some units, and you don't have to full loss streak or anything like that. Just make sure you hit your econ thresholds if you can. I mean, obviously you need to hold Olafs and stuff like that, but just try to hit your econ thresholds. And the main goal is to stack our Olaf. You can carry like a Skarner or something like this. You can actually put your carry items on Skarner, or if you end up running a Warrior setup, you can carry like Yone or Aatrox during the early parts of the game, stage 2, early parts of stage 3. So that can be something that you do. You're going to be weak, which is fine. Because the other goal of us being weak is, you know, we're going to prioritize econ, but the other thing is we can get a spatula from Carousel pretty easily. So it'll, you know, there's a decent chance it'll appear on one of these stage 2, stage 3 carousels. There is a decent chance of that. So we are also playing for that, because we either need to get that emblem from Carousel, get it from pure RNG, or get it from our augments right? So which there is a decent chance that one is, but we're just making sure that we can cover all of our bases. So that's another reason why it's good to be weak. And again, we are econing because we want to be strong on stage 4. If you get an assassin emblem, do not use it on Olaf at this stage in the game. You want to carry, like I just said, you'll want to carry like a Skarner, Aatrox, or Yone. That's going to be the ones that you usually will hold your items on, and you'll just sell them later. It doesn't matter if you need them for your board. Just sell them later and put the items on Olaf. Yeah, because we want Olaf to die, but since we're making Olaf die, he's not going to gain value from those items, so we still do need to kill some units. Okay, now we're going to talk about stage 3. Don't pay too much attention. I went ahead and put on what our like late game board is going to look like. It's just these guys +1. Is typically what is going to look like, but I just wanted to put this up because sometimes you want to roll on level 6 and stage 3, that sort of thing, just depending on what's happening in the lobby. So you want to aim for a board that kind of looks like this. Obviously this is going to be very difficult to hit on level 6, stage 3, but again, this is what we're eventually trying to get to, a composition that looks something like that. So I put it up here. So stage 3, ideally we want to fast 7, but that is not always possible, obviously. But roll on 6 if you are piss weak and you're leaking pretty hard. So if you don't think going fast 7 is going to be good, then don't do that. But your HP can get pretty low in this comp because you do kind of win out in the mid game. It's kind of like if you played Katarina reroll in the past, you can get your HP pretty low because you do win out on stage 4 and early parts of stage 5 if you do hit the board. But you know, you can kind of find your limit where that is with that. But generally, if I'm just piss weak, I'll just roll on stage 3 because especially in higher elos, you will get punished pretty hard if you are not strong on stage 3. But anyways, we don't have to be super strong, but again, roll if you're piss weak. At this point, you should start considering actually carrying your Olaf, or if you need to continue to let him die. Again, this just depends on how the lobby is going. I mean, if you're 70 HP going into stage 3, and if you sack your Olaf the rest of the stage, if you leave this stage at 40 HP, you're Bing chilling. You are full on Bing chilling. So, but if you go into the stage with 55 HP, you know, you took a really hard hits early game, and you're going to be, I mean, you're leaking down to 10 HP at the end of the stage, and you definitely need to roll and start considering actually carrying your Olaf. So, you know, you just need to figure out where that limit is. You know, it just really depends on your lobby. Okay, let's talk about stage 4. Stage 3 is not that sexy, not too exciting. Stage 4 is our time to shine. That's when we want to actually hit this board. Now, this is 7 units, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We want to hit a board that looks something like this. Obviously, you can run Kane here if you can't hit a Talon, that sort of thing. You can run any Bruiser here over Ornn if you can't hit that. So there are definitely budget versions of this build. And again, play around your emblems. The more assassins, the better. So if you have a bunch of emblems, you can hit 6 assassin. 6 assassin is a mega spike. So if you can hit that, we do want to hit that. And if you have an extra emblem, then we can actually run 4 bruisers, 6 assassin at level 8. So just keep that in mind. The more assassins, the better typically. But if you don't have extra assassin emblems, we just run the flat 4 bruiser, 4 assassin. You'll be good to go. All right, stage 4, this is our time to shine. Olaf 2 fully should be your main carry by now. You definitely should not be trying to sack your Olaf anymore. And if you got an Olaf really late, you got it like stage 4, you know, your board is just going to be kind of weak. So we can't afford to sack our Olaf anymore. So don't think in that way. We just want to play to carry our Olaf. And if we lose a round, then Olaf's going to die anyway. So don't try to let your Olaf die anymore. We should send it to hit our late game board here. So this is what I mean by the late game board. We want to hit our fully capped board. We want to hit a board that looks something like this again, and try to upgrade almost everything to at least 2-star. After hitting this board, I will usually slow push 8, as Olaf 2 is very strong on this stage and the early parts of stage 5. So we can actually wait a little bit on Olaf 3. We don't have to sit here and just donkey constantly for Olaf 3. Olaf 2 is very strong, and especially if you have some decent HP, you can play a little bit more fast and loose. But yeah, so Olaf 2, we just want to hit Olaf 2 and a board that looks something like this. All right, going into stage 5, Olaf 2 is typically still pretty stable. I mean, obviously if the lobby is extremely high roll, then not so, but a lot of times early parts of stage 5, Olaf 2 can still streak you, or at the very least will still be very strong. You'll still be in the top 4 in terms of strength in the lobby, typically. You only need to full send down to 0 if you are on 2 or less lives. So if you think you'll die in 2 combats, if you lose 2 combats in a row, if you think that'll kill you, then you probably should be rolling or thinking about rolling. Obviously, this depends a little bit on lobby HP. You can stretch that down to having 1 life if you need to, if it makes sense. But if you just want to follow a rule of thumb, you can just follow if you're on 2 or less lives, then you probably need to roll. Now, the win condition for this comp, again, is to either hit Olaf and Diana 3 or to push level 9. So hit Olaf and Diana 3 or push level 9. And fit in legendaries like Pike, Bard, Yasuo. You can, if you have an extra Sin emblem, you can make Sin Yasuo. Or if you hit a Yasuo 2, but it doesn't look like you're going to hit a Olaf 3, then you can just rotate your items from Olaf over to Yasuo, that sort of thing. And again, more Sins the better. So if you're able to hit 6 assassins, then we do want to try to run that because a 6 assassin spike is pretty massive. Now again, guys, this is the board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is just 7 units plus 1. So just play a legendary here with the rest of these units. If you're thinking about what do I add on level 8, you just play Bard, Yasuo, Soraka, whatever. You can play another bruiser, especially if you have a bruiser emblem, right? You can play more assassins. So don't think about it too hard. It's just this board plus 1. And again, that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to first place, you just hit Olaf 3 or you hit legendaries. If you want a top 4, you just cruise out on Olaf 2. It's actually a really easy board. Like every time I get Olaf early game, or I get a Sin emblem and an Olaf, I feel like I'm just playing the game on easy mode. It is very easy. Now let's talk a little bit about items here. Olaf items, a lot of people have get very specific on Olaf items. Honestly, it's just Sin emblem, Infinity Edge, +1. And the +1 can be Rageblade, it can be BT, it can be Runans, that sort of thing. Runans is going to be probably the best. It can be Hodge as well. Hodge is amazing. Runans is probably going to be the best. If you have healing augments, it's going to probably be your highest DPS. It's going to be very strong. But if you don't have healing augments, Hodge is going to be your highest damage healing item that you can run because of the crit scaling on Hodge with Infinity Edge and Assassin. That is going to be very good. But I also like BT a lot because if we are going to be 3-starring the unit, he is also a bruiser. You can get a massive shield, very good healing. So BT is fine as well. Don't think too hard about the third item. It is really just get the Infinity Edge and a Sin emblem on him. And the third item can really be whatever. But the options I just listed are going to be some of your best ones. The tank you want to itemize in this build is typically going to be Ornn because Ornn is just, he's Ornn, guys. He's like the best unit in the game. Talon can be a decent off carry. I know a lot of you guys will see Talon gets itemized with the items I have on Diana. He is very good with those items as well. But I like to be able to run an off damage carry and somebody who's actually really good with a lot more sword items since we are going to be starting sword and that sort of thing. We have leftover of those types of items. We just put them on Talon. In the early game, we can item hold like Kayn, something like that for Talon if we get loads of 80 items. And we need to spread them out. We can just run on Kayn and easy transition over to Talon right there. And then the utility style items I really like to put on Diana, the Ionic Spark, Sunfire Cape, and Frozen Heart. Very good there. Minor positioning stuff. I just like to separate. You just need to make sure you separate your Sins. I kind of like this variation, kind of like a hard carry on each side, like Talon and Olaf, and then a utility on each side. This is pretty simple here. And I like to have the Frozen Heart not on the same side as my Kiana, just in case I'm fighting against a super genius and they dodge out my Frozen Heart. Then I'll have Frozen Heart on one side and then I'll have my CC unit on the other side. So that's how I like to position there. Anyway, guys, that is pretty much it for Olaf. Honestly, I felt like I just breezed through this, but again, this is one of the easiest builds to play in the game, and you definitely need to have it in your rotation if it's currently not in your rotation. Anyways, that is it. Appreciate all of you. If you like this guide, then please like the video and consider subscribing if you're into TFT stuff. I just post everything about TFT, anything I'm interested in, or I think the community is interested in regards to TFT is stuff that I post here. And if you want more of me, I stream at twitch.tv/TradingTFT. I stream on weekdays, and I post pretty much every day on Twitter, so you can follow me there as well. Appreciate all of you. Hope you have a fantastic day, a fantastic night, and wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. See you guys. Bye.